and I am back here in the fandom car. It is the most earth-breaking, ground-shaking, but never media show money-taking, the man, the myth, the legend, the most electrifying villain in YouTube entertainment today, Dave Filoni's Odd. Welcome, everybody, to another great, stellar review, non-biased opinion on the best leg of the EU running today, the Clone Wars. And I'm joined here, as always, with my compatriots. Go ahead, Mr. LB, let them know who you are, and I'm going to tweet that we're live while we're doing this.
What's up, everyone? Another week talking to Clone Wars Episode 5. I look forward to it. This is like the moment I wait for all week. Glad to be with my peoples again, PB and Zod, and everyone that's here watching and listening or whatever. Hopefully we get a lot of EU people here to tell us how this episode was wrong.
Oh, I'm going to talk about that tonight, too, because, you know, more shenanigans. We'll get to the newest big controversy out there about this episode, because, you know, with the quarantine, no one's got shit to do, so they got to find ways to, attack
Disney. We got shit to do. We could talk about the Clone Wars.
Yep.
Yeah, objectively, isn't that crazy? Isn't that like a crazy idea? Like you give your own opinion.
Yeah, what a novel idea. Talking about a good show from a reasonable perspective.
Crazy. Whoever thought that could be possibly happening in life. I'm floored by that idea. So I guess Zod has frozen.
Did he freeze?
It looks like it.
Well, man.
That's okay.
Now we got frozen General Zod. Like, they can replace all of those RK Outpost pictures with this picture. Because that is terrifying. My God. You see that?
Yeah, I'm scared. Like, you just see a
slightly
nose
blurred out and
eyebrows.
everything.
Yeah, man,
holy crap.
Horrifying.
My God, I don't think I'm going to be able to talk about Star Wars with something that... okay, it's moving again.
I can still hear everyone.
Oh.
I was like, yes, I am horrifying. And also, hey to everyone. I can't see the chat because I froze, so I think I'm lagging right now.
It'll unlag
but I know there's
soon.
5 people watching.
No, we got the only people in the chat so far I can see are Fanjecture, Gary North, and Tommy. Fanjecture said Zod went into the Phantom Zone. Gary North says good evening, and Tommy says Disney sucks.
What's up, boys? How y'all doing?
What's
I'm
up,
glad
everybody?
You could join us to talk about the Clone Wars.
Yep.
Yeah. So, in case you guys are unaware, I might have smaller crowds of the loyal. What do we agree on? Zodiacs. What was Perp saying? Zodians.
I don't know what Perp calls anything.
Yeah. All I can hear him say
I call
is
them zoners.
that works too.
Yeah, zoners. We have fandom zoners. There we go. I don't want to be copy struck, but welcome everybody.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the Clone Wars, and I'm gonna do another topic. I am going to also, as it pertains to Clone Wars or Star Wars universe in general, I'm going to talk about what the panel thinks of Rosaria Dawson becoming Ahsoka in The Mandalorian, because I think that definitely warrants some discussion. Get your guys' feelings. But first, we're gonna talk about this episode. We're gonna give out some spoilers, and we're gonna give a way better review than half of the reviews I've seen floating about. So the newest controversy over this episode apparently was that Ahsoka was supposed to meet up with someone who was supposed to be her love interest, people are in a tizzy because they changed that to two sisters, and the world is burning and the conspiracy is real and all of that stuff.
Yeah. So before we get into that, was this another one of these unfinished episodes, or is this brand new?
This is brand new, but
Okay.
the idea was supposed to be interwoven in the series at about the time where she premiered. It was in talks, but once again, it was drawings and sketches when they were first starting this new season, and I don't think people get the concept that these things get changed uh, for the format of the show, whether or not it makes sense. And to be honest, we only got one Sokka episode. They still, could interweave something like that in, but where we're at right now, I don't think it would make much sense to the story. Like, she drops in and then bam, finds a love interest. That's stupid. Like, we need some setup, some exposition, get her moving around in the city and meeting people, things like that.
Yeah, you know how these.
So why can't this person be the love interest?
Well, the running theory is that they changed it because, strong, powerful women and women don't need guys, the normal talking
No, I'm saying, why can't Ahsoka be in love with this chick that she found at the shop?
Oh, I mean, it's whatever. I'm invested in the character. That stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's whatever. They don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. Yet people are jumping to conclusions like, oh, they replaced the character. Maybe they didn't replace the character. Maybe that is who the character is supposed to be. And all they did was change the hairstyle or the jacket or the side of the tunnel that the platform was on. We have no idea because the episode was never made.
Right. Everybody just assuming, doing what they do.
And it's kind of funny because it's been for multiple channels, except for Genozad. I've had some pretty good traffic, and thank you, everybody. People have even been watching my mobile gaming videos, so thanks for that. But it's like everyone is assuming things and stuff, and I feel like Star Wars or anything Disney is always subjected to this. Like Mandalorian, right? Comes out and makes that announcement, and people are already jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, the casting was confirmed, but I mean, still, we don't know as far as that goes where she's gonna fit or what the plan is. That's the thing. Like, you can't make assumptions until you have more, or until the actor or actress comes out and says a little bit more and gives us like a teaser or something like that. So, I mean, we're 5 episodes in, so we're not even really at the halfway point. Now, as far as the episode goes, I'm going to get you guys' initial thoughts before we get into detail about the episode, but I'll start with LB. What'd you think of this episode overall?
I thought it was okay. I didn't watch it until yesterday, so I mean, ain't really much spoilers, but I know people were saying this episode sucked, and people felt the need to tell me the episode sucked. I'm just like, I haven't watched it yet, but but I mean, I knew from the get go. The moment I saw Trey show up, what the reactions for this episode were going to be from the collective of people that we all associate with. But I mean, I thought the episode was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was the beginning of a new arc, and I feel like this is the issue, and I think we've talked about this before. The issue with this season, people know it's the last season, and we have a certain amount of time to cover, to get to episode 3. So everyone just wants everything to be now, and they don't want anything to be, as they would call it, filler. But yeah, no, okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if we were going to say any of these 5 episodes were filler, this probably be it, but not really because the exposition is needed, to explain. I mean, I do want backstory into, what's going on and things like that, and that's a slow build. Um, Gary North, you might have a good plan. He says, I'm going to wait till the season ends and then binge it. That might be how you want to watch it, because then you can get the flow. I did that with The Mandalorian, and it flows a little bit better than it did just watching it one episode at a time. But, you need a filler every now and again because it explains story. You can't just have bam, 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 bam. That's not how story writing works.
Yeah, and to add on to that, and I mean, we've said this before. This is a problem. I mean, we've said this since Mandalorian. Is people are so trained to binge stuff now, and especially with the streaming services and Disney doing something different, they're like, look, man, we ain't gonna give you commercials, but we ain't giving you every episode at once. And that's kind of a disconnect with people. They're not used to this, so they feel like everything's filler or there's a disconnect. It's like, no, this is no different than when the Clone Wars was on TV. It's just we don't have any commercials. That's it. That's the only difference.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm more glad for not having commercials, to tell you the truth. I'd rather not have commercials than be like, oh, there's a disconnect in the episode. I could deal with that because I can go back through later when the newer episode drops, and I can watch it and be like, oh, okay, now I get what they were going for. But commercials, man, imagine going back through and watching all those commercials again. Commercials suck.
Yeah, they do.
I know, that's why I got a DVR with my satellite dish, so that I get to choose what commercials I watch. Because sometimes I like to know what the new product at Taco Bell is.
Oh, I know you're about those Taco Bell commercials. PB, what did you think of the episode overall? And, how does it rate so far?
I mean, I guess I would overall agree with LB. It was just an okay episode. I mean, especially when you compare it to the previous one that you just watched, where you had all the characters set up, you knew how they were integrated into the story, and it was essentially balls to the walls action. Whereas in this one, essentially, at least from my watching it, the entire story is, at least in the episode, when is Ahsoka going to show, what the hell is the other character's name?
Trace.
Trace.
Yeah, when is she going to show Trace that she's a Jedi? Because there's like 5 or 6 instances where you're like, oh, she's going to use the Force, and then she doesn't. Like when the people show up and they're going to fight, I thought she was just going to pull the lightsaber out, turn it on, and they were going to walk away, but she decides to go all kung fu on their asses.
Right.
So, I mean, there was still some good action in the episode. Like, that was a good fight scene, because it's just her taking some people down that thought they were, big badasses. Well, you ain't got nothing on somebody who was training to be a Jedi, and then using the Force to pull the android or droid back up over the cliff. That entire chase scene I thought was pretty good, but it wasn't as good as the previous episode. It's probably the worst episode of the season, but that doesn't make it a bad episode of television, because at no point was I bored watching it. I was watching it, waiting for the next thing to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that the definitions of bad episode and stuff like that, it gets thrown around a lot, but I mean, there's no context to why, because if you look at the episode overall,
a bad episode would be if the episode just started at the chase scene and you see Ahsoka and Trace chasing down this android. You'd be like, who the hell is this person? Why is she helping her chase this android down? And then you just watch the rest of the episode and you'd be like, well, none of this shit makes sense. Well, if you watch the first 10 minutes, the rest of the episode makes sense. Like, you gotta have that exposition, air quote, filler in order for the story to make sense. Like, I didn't entirely understand why Trey took her position so easily. Like, it seemed like there were some instances that you see or that happen off camera where they must be getting to know each other a little better, because it's, hey, I'm going to charge you. Hey, I'm going to charge you. And then all of a sudden, to me, it seemed like, oh, well,
Yeah.
this time it's on the house.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which, to me, that was the only thing in the episode that I saw where I was like, wait a second, why you?
See, I connected that more with her sister and the more interaction she had, and then seeing the way Ahsoka was, and that maybe Ahsoka's influence on her, like she was saying, no, I'll charge you, no, I'll charge you, no, I'll charge you. They go through all of that, and then they get that part. She goes, no, it's on the house at the very end, because, her changing her way of thinking. Because in that episode, you have two people. You have Trace's sister, who has one way of thinking, and then Ahsoka, who's the counterpoint to that way of thinking.
Rafa. Her name's Rafa. Come on now.
Yeah,
Let's get it right.
Rafa. I did want to highlight something that I thought was terrible in the episode, and I think, LB, you might have mentioned this before. Those hairdos, man. What the fuck was up?
Oh, God.
Those hairdos were terrible.
I promise you, when Trace showed up on the screen, I was like, oh, I already know what these YouTubers are going to go with this angle. I already know. Doesn't matter what happens in this episode. They're going to go that route with this person. But, man, that hairdo was awful. It's like,
it was awful.
I got used to it once the sister showed up, but it was like, man, it really took me out of the episode when she first showed up. It's like, what in the world?
I don't know what the thought process was.
It looked like one of those Red Lobster biscuits, just brown.
Huh? Yeah, they burnt that one.
Oh man, that hairstyle was terrible. And Ralpha, her hair was not really much better. I mean, it was a good foil to the other hairstyle, but my goodness, man. Yeah. I like the designs for the clone arc seem better with the way they chose their look, and then you get to this and you're like, what the fuck was the art department thinking here? But that is just terrible.
Now, we mentioned it, PB said it wasn't a bad episode. I don't know if people are saying it's the worst Clone Wars episode ever. I really haven't looked at anything because it's whatever with them. But
worst episode ever.
So off the top of my head, I don't know if y'all remember. It might have been season 5 or something, but there was some real boring episodes that involved. I think his name was the Corporal, and It was like he was so aggravating and stubborn, and there was nothing going on. Do y'all remember that episode arc?
Not explicitly.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember it, but I just remembered. Oh man, I'm trying to remember. His name might have been Colonel Meeber. Oh, Colonel Meeber Gascon. And man, but I just know that, man, there was an arc, and he was just like, I'm the boss. I don't want to hear nothing else you all got to say. You all are trash. Leave me alone. And it was just so boring, man. Just the most boring. And I was like, man, I hate these episodes. I hate them. Yeah, his name was Colonel Meeber Gascon. Man, I'm just like, those were probably the worst episodes I remember off the top of my head watching Clone Wars. And this episode was nowhere close to that for me.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some Clone Wars episodes that have some slowdown, and the thing is, those seasons though have 20 episodes in a season, so it's like you could have 4 or 5 episodes where it's just the action is slowed down and then they come back to the storyline. I think here is a little bit different because we only got 12 episodes for this season. So
everybody just wants everything to happen right now.
Yeah, and they've got to do a lot of explaining and exposition. I mean, we don't know like how they're going to connect everything and bring everything together full circle. So I think it'll be interesting. There's a lot of things. Do you guys think that criminal guy is going to come back? The one who wanted his money. God, I forgot his name.
100% he is coming back.
Definitely.
Yeah, because
how can he not come back?
That seemed like a big step because they showed him his goons got beat up and then she's like, oh, I paid him off. But I don't think he doesn't seem like the type of person who's gonna be like
well, I think that the sister lied.
I think she did too.
Like
she also
that was
when she
the whole
goes,
setup
yeah,
in the beginning. She's like, hey, you need to tell me when you're gonna, be owing people money and that stuff so I can be prepared. And then I have a feeling she just straight up lied to her again, like, oh yeah, I paid him, don't worry about it.
She had that look, like, yeah, I sent him a check, it's all good.
Yeah, she definitely up to something.
But yeah, I mean, this episode to me, like when I was watching it, and I had seen other reviews. Of course, people are saying this is the worst episode. I can't believe Ahsoka was introduced in this. Blah 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 blah.
Wait, like the worst one ever, or the worst one of the season?
The worst one of the season. From Everstellar.
That might be true. It might be the worst one of the season, but that doesn't make it a bad episode.
Right. Like let's keep it all the way real. There's no such thing as a season that had the best. I mean, a TV show series or season that had the best episode every single episode. Like, if you really want to go there, you could look at every TV show of your favorite seasons and say, okay, this was the worst episode ever, but I still give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Right, exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like this wasn't an episode where it's like, oh my goodness, this was absolute trash, man. This was just such a downgrade in quality. I can't believe this. What have they done to us? Like, no, it's not. It was an okay episode. Like, there was nothing in this episode that you could sit there and say, okay, this was terrible. Unless you're reaching for the stars here.
No, I would like to see, I mean, it would be amazing to see if somebody would watch the episode and see if they can tear it apart. Because at no point, like, it starts off and you get, I swear to God, of all of the episodes this season, that one had to have the shortest previous on. They're like, hey, Ahsoka used to be a Jedi, and then she quit. I was like, oh. Okay, I guess we're starting the episode now. Excellent. Cool. And then she's driving away from the temple or whatever, and she gets to that one chute that goes down to I don't know how many freaking levels it goes down. I assume it goes all the way down to the surface. But then she just so happens to land on level 1313. Like, that was going to be an obvious tie-in with the game that they were making at the time years ago, correct?
Yep. So,
like, I heard that, I was like, oh, these characters were going to show up in that game. I'm sure they were planned to, but then it was canceled. So now it's just an Easter egg.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing that I'm liking about the Clone Wars this season does do a lot of those cool little Easter eggs and tie-ins and stuff. I mean, this show to me has, like I said, it feels very Star Wars, and they do acknowledge a lot of things in every episode. If you've looked for it, they've really crammed a lot of different Easter eggs and things that they knew that fans would notice and stuff like that. So, I mean, it wasn't the most action-packed as the ones that we got, but we needed this setup. I honestly didn't want Ahsoka just jumping in and having a big action sequence. I want to know things like, what is she doing while all of this is going on? I mean, where is she? What is she doing? And she's learning lessons too. Remember, she lived in what they call topside, right? She lived there and she was training there her whole entire life. She's never gotten down and seen what the other people are doing or how the people feel. The other thing that I liked, if you guys noticed in the episode, people don't like the Jedi down at the lower levels. I thought that was very cool that they threw that in there. They think the Jedi started the war, which makes sense to when the Emperor calls Order 66, right? And he says the Jedi attacked me and left me scarred and blah, blah, blah. It makes sense why the people would go along with that now, because they already think that the Jedi started the war and that they're policing. I thought that was a very cool little detail that they threw in there.
Yep, I bet they know nothing about the Sith.
Nope. And go ahead.
That would be why none of the, let's say, regular people en masse are upset at the end of episode 3. Like, people aren't super upset that all the Jedi are dead at all.
Yeah. And I mean, my memory it kind of shot with the show because I mean I haven't watched it all in a long time. But if I can remember, the growing theme whenever they met with like regular people who's not involved directly in the war, it was always the Jedi are bad.
Well, yeah, and just think.
I have a question because I don't remember. Did Ahsoka keep her lightsaber, or did she hand it back to the Jedi at the temple before she left?
I thought she kept it.
Okay, so she does have it on her somewhere.
Yeah, she just doesn't carry it. I'm gathering she very smartly doesn't want to.
Right, she just has it's in her backpack or in a side compartment or some shit like that, just so it's not exposed. Because that was the only thing that I was disappointed with in the episode. I was hoping that she pulled the lightsaber out and do something with it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the angle that they take, though, and I think it's very clever. It shows how clever her character is by not, like, she could have went down there and just been in the robes and been like, yeah, I'm a Jedi, back off. But she didn't. She's, like, staying super low-key. And I think that goes back to the season when she was being hunted and she realizes what it means when you just say you're a Jedi. So now she's like traveling like amongst the people and seems like very hesitant about wanting to throw out, force powers and, the lightsaber right off the bat. And that makes sense too, especially after she got the speech that no one likes the Jedi.
I don't know if they're ever going to do like a spin-off of her between Clone Wars and Rebels to see what her character was doing in the in-between time, because it seems to me like with what she said in the episode, she's still pro-Jedi. Like, she doesn't want people out there having these misconceptions of these people that she knows are good people. Like, yeah, people mess up from time to time. They're still just human, but they're in the right. Like, they're not these warmongers like everybody on level 1313 think they are. I think that she's going to be out there being like a prophet, being like, hey, the Jedi were actually these good people trying to save the Republic.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Okay, so the other thing that was intriguing to me about this is that these people made these conclusions like YouTubers make about Disney. Never mind, I'm sorry. But they made these conclusions that the Jedi were to blame, right? But do you guys think there's someone spreading this amongst the people, or there's some kind of propaganda low key? Because it seems like this was before she dropped. These people are getting this idea,
I mean, of course. I mean, that's just life. I mean, we have it in our modern day politics, and people spread propaganda. It doesn't matter what side you lean on. There's always propaganda out there. So, I'm pretty sure they got their TYT or their Sean Hannity out there saying whatever they say on the screen. Like, You remember from Spider-Man, the Daily
Yep.
Bugle, putting all that
Johnny
propaganda out there
Kingston.
about Spider-Man.
Yep.
So I mean, if this was a full episode, they might not full episode, full season. They might have an episode focusing on that, but they'll complain about that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting to think about all of these facets. I mean, PB, do you think they have their Sean Hannity or I don't know, Lemming from the other saying the Jedi are causing these
Obviously,
wars and
they
stuff?
do. How can they not have it? And I mean, if we're talking about internet people, like the first person to hit the right button on the rage algorithm will get all the views. It doesn't matter if it's correct.
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah,
changed this character. I don't know what it was supposed to be, but I know they changed it. This is bullshit. Oh, I gotta watch that video. No, I don't, because he's not gonna use any facts. Like, I got no problem listening to your opinion, your feeling, your perspective, anything like that on any particular topic, as long as you are using facts to create them.
And it's kind of funny because Star Wars in general and Clone Wars and the topics that they're talking about, they talk about these things, and it's kind of almost like a prophecy, because we see a lot of that in real life with the way that things get spun and twisted and distorted until you have one side saying one thing and one side saying the other, and there's the facts and the truth in between. And I think that it's cool when a show can acknowledge and kind of touch on those points. Now, what do you guys think were the strongest points of this episode for you? Like, what was the highlight moment for you? And I'll start with you, Mr. LB.
The strongest points, man.
I know I'm getting deep.
Honestly, like, I felt when Rafa came around, and her sister, who all she knows is Rafa, realized, okay, there might be more to life than what me and my sister are doing. And then because she has a Sokka around, and he's like, okay, this woman I don't know seems very noble and wants to do the right thing, and my sister's stuck on scamming people. So I guess that was the deepest part of the episode. Like, I mean, before she showed up, you thought it was just going to be some, okay, this poor lady from the underlings of Coruscant or whatever doesn't trust Ahsoka, and she's going to be the hard chick. But turns out, she ain't really like that. She just had to, get to know Ahsoka, I guess.
Yeah, that definitely added a new layer. I definitely agree with you. It was good to see a dynamic between the sisters, and you can kind of see that the one sister is just basically doing what her older sister is saying, and that's a family dynamic too. You always gravitate towards the oldest one because they're the ones you have to rely on. So, same question, PB. What did you think was the best or deepest?
Oh, I mean, my favorite part or most intriguing part of the episode was, as I lightly stated earlier, was the hiding of the fact that she's a Force user / Jedi, and that she was able to call upon her training without using the Force, and then use it to such a minimal amount that it wasn't overt and she wasn't essentially showing off to the crowd the way that her master would have.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, that is great. we're already seeing, and I've said this before too, we're already seeing the differences between Anakin and Ahsoka, and like how they both started crazy, but she's become more almost wiser with what she's doing. She's become like a weird mix between Obi-Wan and Anakin. That's like what
I
comes to mind.
mean, not to throw sports at everybody, but if Anakin Skywalker is, the gunslinger, right? He's out there wheeling and dealing and doing all this flashy stuff. That would make him Brett Favre, which means Ahsoka is Aaron Rodgers. Like, she was able to watch all the things that he did and be like, okay, well, I'm not going to put myself in that position because that's not wise.
Yeah.
And I just want to welcome Christoph and Curtis. Welcome. Don't worry, you're not late. We're just really diving deep and getting into it. Welcome, guys. But yeah, I mean, and don't worry, I got one more little topic we're going to talk about to kind of piggyback on this because it has to do with our favorite character, Ahsoka. Yeah. Anyways, but no, I think that the thing that I liked was them sparring over, like we were talking about, the Jedi and the conception that the regular people have, because like LB said, it's been alluded to as the war is going on that you have these people in these tribes that are starting to be like, the Jedi are on the front lines, what's going on? And it's in Star Wars lore, the Jedi has always been sought as peacekeepers. This is the first time they've been directly getting involved in conflict since the war with the Sith. So, I mean, it's interesting to now see the perception that they built of these noble peacekeepers being twisted and distorted into a perception that they're warmonger. They straight up came out and called them warmongers, which is totally different. Totally different things. And I like how they're showing the perception of these people overall. So yeah, it's really interesting to see that.
One thing I liked about the episode is I mean, PB talked about it, is the fact, they didn't, Ahsoka wasn't using like the Force. She didn't pull out she did use the Force, but like not doing it over a lot, and she didn't pull out the lightsaber. It was kind of like it had you not saying it at the edge of your seat, but had you like, okay, are they going to do it? Is she going to do it? Is she going to finally use it? But she didn't. It's like she was really pulling back, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm just thinking like the little kids that are watching, and well, not all of them, but most of them are smarter than adults, but some of them probably watching like all excited, thinking, "Oh my goodness, she's gonna pull out the lightsaber. You gonna do it?" That type of stuff. So just think about like going back to when you're younger, just having the anticipation for things to happen in a show that you're watching.
Yes, anticipation is wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that see, this all has the hallmarks of a show that keeps you on the edge of your seat. One thing you can say honestly, you're never bored. We got these questions looming and what's going to happen and things like that. And I honestly think by the end of this arc, something's going to go down. I don't know. I got this feeling like the bottom half is going to have a sort of rebellion or something. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of feelings, and it's like a powder keg down there just off of the talk and everything. Do you guys think that maybe there'll be a big fight within the lower half of Coruscant with her involved now and these things that they're kind of setting up in this episode?
Go ahead, PB.
Yeah, I assume that sister is going to get herself circumstances where they're dealing with one too many shady characters, and then all of the shady characters are going to, I don't know, essentially gang up, I guess. Be like, oh shit, we're screwed now. And then it's time to pull out the lightsaber.
Yeah, it's gonna get pulled out, and then the big kiss will happen after.
And I also get a feeling too that the reveal is going to, I think, and I mean, just from how they're showing this, I think maybe Ahsoka will be known by these people. She'll build up some kind of standing, and then something's going to happen, like you guys say, when she has to go and, pull out the lightsaber, and then they're going to turn on her, and she's going to see the ugly half of the reality of being a Jedi, right? Because eventually, you know, Jedis do that. They help out the crowd and things like that. And then all of a sudden, the people turn on them. I mean, it's happened a couple of episodes. I mean, what do you guys think?
Um, I feel like this is. I mean, I'm always wrong with predictions, but I feel like kind of like what you were saying is going to happen, and then she'll realize, okay, something's no. I think like something's going to happen where she just magically comes across some Jedi type business, kind of like Darth Maul or something.
Yeah.
I know they meet up because I mean it shows it in the trailer. No spoilers. I mean it's out there, but I feel like that's what's going to happen. She's going to cross paths with somebody related to the whole, Clone Wars.
Yeah, because they did show her and Darth Maul getting ready to throw down, and we know he doesn't die there. I mean, that's not spoilers. That was in Rebels. He gonna meet his end there, so it's gonna be interesting to see how he fits in.
He's in Solo too, so we know he doesn't die.
I definitely did not see that.
I mean, he died in episode 1, so he'll die again, I guess.
No, he only had his body cut in half.
Right.
You don't die from that.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
They're like zombies, man. Anyways, yeah, so overall, I'm gonna get your guys' ratings on the episode and your final thoughts. Let's start with LB. How do you rate this episode? And what are your final thoughts?
I'd give it a C, which was what 7 out of 5 out of 10. Like it was an average episode. I mean, it wasn't anything amazing that happened. Wasn't anything bad happened. Like I the only thing I cringed at was the sight of that haircut on Trace.
Oh
God. But I liked Rafa. I mean, I thought she brought something to the episode, so it'll be interesting to see where they go further with them. It was nice to see Ahsoka come back, and like for me, I wasn't expecting some big old bang 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 action type thing with her return. You kind of had to slow things down after the previous episode, and it wouldn't have made sense if Ahsoka shows up on what's it called, level 1313 or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made sense if she shows. It would have made sense if she showed up on there, right, and then just skips telling the story and then starts destroying droids or whatever.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. PB, what do you think?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10 because I liked what the story set up. Had enough action for an episode that is put in to set up an arc, but also allow you to decompress from the arc that you just finished. Like, we just had a really great episode, and this one is just supposed to be like, get down, get back into the swing. Now we're going to, pivot and focus on this character. But, I'm going to downgrade it slightly because no lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm sitting with you guys. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. The haircut mainly, like I would have gone 8, but goddamn, that hair was bad, man. It lost some points for that.
I mean, they must have the best moose on 1313.
Yeah. Like, oh god, like, and you know what? In reviews, no one pointed out that the hairstyle. I thought for sure that'd be a thing that they nitpick. It was mostly this fictitious character that's supposed to come in. But like, yeah, and as Christoph mentioned, the Boba Fett and Cad Bane thing, people are still talking about that. He was more just asking, are they going to be in the season? But people are like, oh, they definitely cut it out and blah blah blah. And I'm like, we're not even 6 episodes in. We don't know the rest of the arc. We know Darth Maul's definitely going to be in there. We don't know much else.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
possible Cad Bane is still in the season. We just gotta wait and see. I'll be disappointed if we don't see him again, because the last time we saw him, if I can remember, it was the arc with Obi-Wan and him in the prison.
yep.
And I think I don't remember how it ended,
Okay.
but didn't they escape and it was basically like we'll meet again or something?
Yeah, it was a respect thing because Cad Bane had saved him, and it was kind of ambiguous whether it was just because, yeah, I'm not gonna let the Jedi who could help me out die, or whether he just had respect for him. But it was one of those, you saved me, so I'm gonna let you go, but we'll meet again kind of deals.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's where they kind of left things off, and it would be interesting. I think he would fit with this criminal thing going on too, because they could hire Cad Bane to go after Ahsoka, knowing that they can't take her. That'd be
Yeah.
interesting. And he's the only one who would know she's a Jedi. That'd be
Right.
really interesting. So, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, but yeah, I line up with you guys. I think that this is a good calm down episode. It sets up a lot of things as good writing should. You know, it's got the action is in there. They got a nice chase scene, the stuff with the Force. There's the cool karate bit. You know, it'll be very interesting to see kind of where we go from there. But yeah, that's so as far as the Clone Wars review part of it, that's how we sit. I mean, this isn't an episode you can really dive deep. It's very straightforward. We all thought it was good. Don't believe the hype. Okay.
Don't
And
put words in our
yeah,
mouth.
you know.
Both me and my cousin said it was okay.
Yep.
Hey, I gotta hype it up for the clicks. It was great. It was the best episode ever.
But
It was the
Christoph
best
says,
episode 5 of season 7 that there ever was of the Clone Wars.
yep, hasn't been the better episode ever. You can quote me on that. So Christoph says, worst of all, I have a woke friend who was getting excited and yelling Ahsoka is getting a new love interest. I hope they're not going to go down this route. And that's the thing, man. Like, you when these idiots on YouTube, man, like, you know why they do these things. We know why they do these things. It's not a surprise. But, like, just because females are on the show, it doesn't mean they're going to fall in love. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's okay to have female friends.
you know,
Especially
yeah,
if they own pillows.
you know, you've got the shows that make it pretty clear where they're going, and then you got the ambiguous shows. I say I don't care about where they go with the love interest as long as it's handled properly. Like, as long as there's reasons and, you know, we see them going through the trials and tribulations and you can understand the setup for that. And this goes for males and females too. How many of us have seen an action movie or a show where these two people who are vastly different all of a sudden get together and you're like, why are they kissing? Because that doesn't make sense. Like, they're opposite personalities. There was no hint that this was going to be a love thing, and you feel like they just throw it in there just because the character's got to have a love interest. I mean, that could go wrong either side. It's all in how you write it. There's got to be some kind of connection first, and then, you know, guy or girl, you know?
I mean, I mean, people are stupid. Like, I mean, I guess the haircut made them think, oh, here we go. They're going down that route. I'm like, no, man, it's just there was nothing. There was not you. If you wanted to look for it, be like, okay, she likes Ahsoka. I mean, I guess, but like, there was nothing in this episode that was like, man, they're gonna hook up. I see the tension between the two. Like, man, whatever.
Nope, I didn't see it anywhere.
No, I mean, what I saw was them setting up to bring in new characters so that when they come in and help out Ahsoka at some point, because you know that's going to happen, that it makes sense. It'd be like, oh, okay, these were the characters from this episode. We've established who they are. They're kind of little backstory, and that's why they're in the episode, not just throw them in there and then it doesn't make sense. And the funny part about this is that a lot of people complain when shows do that, but when they're setting up, they complain the other way too. And it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Wait, you mean people are just gonna complain either way?
I know, it's crazy. I don't.
People raging, man. Like, straight up, think about it. Like, I mean, we weren't around YouTube and stuff, but I doubt these people was complaining about this stuff when, you know, she was on arcs with Barriss and I forgot her. What was Barriss's Jedi Master name? I forgot. Man,
I don't remember.
I know who she is, but I just can't remember. But anyway, I doubt they were complaining about that. Talking about they was gonna hook up and all this stuff. It's like, golly, man. Like,
yeah.
No, that's because Disney didn't own it then, so they didn't have to complain about it.
Yeah. I mean, come on, bro. Like, how many, you know, lesbian love scenes have there been in Disney TV shows and movies?
I know they were getting flack for that. We talked about it before.
They put all of those shows on Freeform.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, they put it on channels that ain't 100% Disney.
Oh, JW1528 just said
Luminara. Yes, Luminara. Yes, thank you.
See, the people always know.
Yeah.
I got the best fans here. More informed than the EU. Fuck the EU. There, I said it.
But man, yeah,
Come at me.
People just looking for stuff to complain about. Like, and I mean, like I said, I haven't seen any reviews of this episode or anything, but I'm pretty sure I know how it's going to go.
I haven't left comments. That's why Zod is hated by a lot of people today.
Oh, that's why.
No, man, because I just gotta call out bullshit. It's just like, how are you gonna quote something from back in the day or the beginning of the project where they released sketches and then they didn't put the character in, but they had the episode mapped out and blah 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 blah. I'm boring.
Man, you got my mind messed up. You was like, okay, how are you going to quote something that's going to quote something, but you're quoting something that's not quoting anything? It's like, yeah, mind blown.
I know, it's a ridiculous runaround. You know what I mean? No, Christoph, we all agree the sequels suck, but the sequels suck because of the fact of how they were written and put together, and that they had directors not talking to each other. That was a director who had...
Well, you're telling me the director of episode 7 didn't talk to the director of episode 9?
Apparently not.
They never had that conversation.
And then you're going to come out and be like, yeah, I approved all of those. I totally knew what was going on. Yeah, and I've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell.
Sure you did, JJ. Sure you did.
But, I mean, swinging back around, I think that the Clone Wars is very well handled, as well as the Mandalorian, and these shows have been pretty handled well. The writing flaws have been from the people writing the episode. I don't believe, like, the overlords, as I'm just going to call them, have anything to do with potential screw ups. It's just the writing team. And look, that happens in shows. Like you said, LB, you never have a show that has perfect episodes. You're always going to find that one episode that doesn't quite fit, or, one episode that's kind of out of place. Like, we got 26 episodes and we're just going to throw this in here real quick.
Like straight up, just think about it. Like, I know everyone likes to act like up until season 6 of Game of Thrones, which is perfect episodes, but do you remember earlier on in the series where they just absolutely did nothing in some episodes but travel from one world to another world and talk?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but the talk was so engaging. And that's the thing. If you have episodes with exposition, you got to make it interesting. If you have filler, then you've got to fill it with something that is relevant to the story. And look, in writing in general, you can't get around it. You need that talking because it explains certain points. I mean, like, you can show stuff, but you still need dialogue to establish what kind of character it is. You can tell by the way they talk and interact with other people who they are. I mean, these things all have a place within storytelling. And people, like you said, they become lazy, they just want everything explained. It's why we have problems in movies, because they just talk too much. Like, my God, I've seen some movies where they just tell you the whole thing, and it's like, okay, man, you show me a scene. I'm an intelligent human being. I can get from what you're showing me what's going on. Stop talking. Like, you gotta have those types of slower episodes, and even to slow down the pacing. You want to give the audience a chance to breathe, catch up, catch their breath for a second, and move the story a little bit slower, and then, jump it back up. I can't handle edge of the seat all the time, man. I'll be there sweating in my cowboy hat.
Is Tommy in the chat trolling?
I'm not sure.
I feel like he is, but then I feel like he's not. So I guess I don't feel anything.
Then you're neutral.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the episode. My last subject I had was a surprise subject. I did a video on this, but I had to get all of your guys' opinions and feelings. And as it relates to a character who is, I guess, going to be in both properties now, they've confirmed Ahsoka is going to be in The Mandalorian Season 2. And they're saying Rosario...
Played by Ashley Eckstein?
Man,
yeah.
Hold on. I guess Tommy's not trolling. Man, we have to go down this EU route again. Tommy, George Lucas himself confirmed that the Clone Wars is canon. Moving on.
Curtis YZ said, it's infamous canon. Oh, my. But, yeah, the talk is Rosario Dawson has been tapped to play Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. First, before we get into all of that, what do you guys feel about this casting? And then I'll kind of get to there was also, attacks on her and all this. But LB, what do you feel about this choice?
So my first thoughts is this. I don't know how Ahsoka's gonna look in live action. It's gonna be kind of, it's like, seriously, that was my first thought. It's like that's gonna be kind of jarring. A
little bit.
Because, like, for example, like when The Mandalorian, when I was first watching, it took me a while to get past the fact that we're watching a live action TV show of Star Wars and it's not a movie thing. So, like, the budget is, like, for Disney, the budget isn't going to be TV, but it's not going to be Star Wars movie budget. So it took me a while to get used to that. But now, like, seeing Ahsoka in live action, yeah, it's, I'm not worried, but it's kind of like gonna be weird. But Rosario Dawson, like, I mean, I watched your video, you explained her perfectly. I mean, she doesn't have a real good range of, acting. She's cool at doing like those, oh, I'm concerned for you type acting. But like more than that, she's okay. She's passable, and I think she could pass as Ahsoka, but it's like, oh man, I still gotta get past the fact that we're gonna have Ahsoka in live action. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad. She's gonna be an older Ahsoka, you know, so it's not like it's gonna be the kid version of it. So I kind of feel like, well, Disney hasn't announced it. Somebody, you know, pulled a scoop, but I feel like they're just putting that out there because there's nothing going on positive for Disney right now due to the, you know, the beer thing.
Yeah. PB, how do you feel?
I mean, the first thing I heard about this entire story was people attacking her. Like, I didn't even, like, obviously you learn all of it at once, but I learned that she had been cast because people were attacking her because apparently she's a transphobe. Nobody fucking cares at all.
Oh, so that's why people are attacking her.
Yep. Apparently she said something at some point in the past, and people have been able to misconstrue it or some bullshit like that. Like, I cannot find the comment that she made. I have not been able to find it at all. Just people upset about it. Like, she's anti-trans. And I was like, okay, what the hell are you talking about? And then nobody ever answers me. I was like, okay, well, you obviously have no legs to stand on here because you can't just show me what she said. Like, it should be super easy. This is the internet. Like, go find a quote. Like, just show it to me. Unbelievably easy. But, I mean, everything that I remember seeing her in, she seems like she does a good job. I assume this is going to be one of those motion capture suits where they got all the dots on the face and that stuff so that they can get the nice facial expressions. So she still looks like herself, but then has Ahsoka's, I don't know, CGI skin put on her, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say that exactly. But yeah, I agree with LB. It is going to be a bit jarring because how many characters are there that were either created for the Clone Wars or revealed in the Clone Wars, however you want to look at it, that we've only seen in cartoon form and have never seen in live action outside of, like, people doing cosplay.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to make it look real good, I think, but it's still going to be, it's going to look, something's going to look odd, I think.
Yeah. Tommy, I know you've been sick hanging out with guinea pigs and no internet, but man, we had a full discussion about this EU and Clone Wars thing a few weeks ago. Now, I'm not telling you to go back and watch these videos, but this is what the EU people are doing. They're using George Lucas quotes from 10, 15, 20 years before the Clone Wars ever existed to justify the fact that the Clone Wars is the EU. George Lucas himself worked on the TV show, paid for the TV show, said the TV show is his canon. He said the movies and things he works on is his canon. Everything else, like the books, video games, is like a parallel universe. He said this stuff when he was interviewed about the Clone Wars during season 4 or 5, something around then. So,
correct. And I told Tommy I'll send him that tweet.
The Clone Wars was never, ever, 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 ever the EU. Continue, General Zod.
At any point.
Christoph,
just because
the Polish guy clearly
keeper of the holocron said, hey, we need it to fit on our fancy little chart, so we're going to put it here because it's not a movie, doesn't mean that it's in with all of the other garbage that random people created as far as video games, comic books, novels. No, they're not the same.
Like, you think it's common sense, right? Like, okay, the Clone Wars didn't exist when George Lucas said this stuff about the EU. You would think when he created a TV show that people would just assume that, okay, this is the Star Wars universe. But no, people aren't that smart, I guess.
Yep, apparently they're also not smart enough to take George Lucas at his word.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're all relatively excited to, at minimum, see Ahsoka in live action.
Yeah.
Exactly, and Christoph hit the highlight in my video where I got to mention Brie Larson at least once. It said, "I am glad Brie Larson is not playing her. To hell with Larson."
But
Facts.
Christoph, I just want to let you know, Christoph, Brie Larson can be a Jedi Knight Master. Or Sith.
Yeah. All you gotta do is
That
go to
video
LB's
scarred
channel. You
me,
still got that video up, LB?
Yeah, it's still around.
Ooh,
that video
that's a good one. I
scarred
like
me.
that video.
I was never the same. But no, so my feelings, and you guys could check out my video, but my feelings is that meh. I mean, no one talked about, because yeah, she got attacked for a comment that no one can find, but that wasn't what the big highlight was for me. The highlight was for me that I don't feel like she has the range in live action to pull off Ahsoka, because I've seen her in just about pretty much almost everything she's been in. And, I appreciate her as an actress, but the range is very different. Most of the stuff she does is, like 7 pounds and things like that. She's in those movies with like heavy emotional things going on. And then in
Heavy
the
emotional
Marvel,
things like Clerks 2.
Yeah.
that was more of a comedy.
So
That was a
are you
favor.
telling me you've watched Briar Patch?
Oh no! No, I didn't.
This guy here.
No, I never seen that movie.
Oh, stop! I thought I've seen everything.
No, when I think of Rosario Dawson, the first two movies that I think of are Clerks 2 and Alexander. She does a great job in Alexander. You seen that movie?
Oh yeah,
But
that was the best part.
have you seen Unforgettable?
Yes, that was.
I don't think so.
That movie is hilarious.
Oh man, and it's unintentionally funny. That is a terrible movie. It is forgettable.
Katherine Heigl versus Rosario Dawson. That movie is hilarious.
God!
If you haven't seen
Wait, what's the name of this movie? Unforgettable?
Yeah. It came out 2017. If you haven't seen that movie, you gotta watch it at least once.
I will have to, because the wife loves Katherine Heigl.
Yeah, man. Me too.
Oh man, it was. Oh, what up, King Sloan? Nice to see you here in the Phantom Zone. But yeah, like that's the thing about her too. She could be in something good and then something atrocious, and her range of acting, it's just for me not there. Like she was in all of the Netflix Marvel shows, and she was a one-note character in that and never really changed from show to show. She was essentially just like always the same despite what was happening. I mean, and then Zombieland, she was kind of, I don't know, she was trying to be badass, but I still just saw her as the same person, so I don't know how she's going to translate into a Jedi. That's a big leap.
Speaking of trans, so they all boycotting Disney because someone doesn't agree with that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're boycotting. They're saying cancel. There was a hashtag cancel the Mandalorian season 2. I was like, bitch, please.
These idiots out there need to realize that they're not that big of a population, and unless someone's out there saying kill them, rape them, beat them up, look, everyone's welcome to their opinion on it. Deal with it.
I mean, you're seeing this a lot, though, when a star or a comedian has said something in the past, and then they're tied to this project or announcing the Oscars. You got these group of idiots who come out, and they're like, oh, my God, back in 1993, you said this during an interview while you were out with a bunch of friends, and you're evil. It's just like, come on, really?
And I
They
would
probably don't
always
even
respond
remember
to that with, "Yes, I did."
I mean, to be honest with you, man, like the thing is, it's just social media. Like, if you want to find something, you can find it. Like, people got to remember, like, everybody doesn't use Twitter. You know, Twitter's a small percentage of the population. So, you know, if someone's complaining on Twitter, it makes it seem like the whole world is complaining, and these companies just need to stop paying attention to them and stop, you know, caving. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to cave to Rosario Dawson because she's been in the Disney family for years. I mean, she's been on the Marvel Netflix shows. You know what I'm saying? So she's straight. So these people, these 111 people that are complaining about some alleged comments, they need to go, you know, clean their kitchen or something. Clean your
out their own
toilet.
closet.
Clean your closet. Clean your toilet. Do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I did want to comment on that part of it because I thought that was ridiculous that already she's being attacked. It is, I mean, if we're going conspiracy theory, it is odd that they happened to attack the Mandalorian this side of things, and they were also attacking the Mandalorian. If you guys remember when we were doing reviews, they were attacking the Mandalorian on several things and representation. Meanwhile, Gina Carano's running around there badass, and they're like, it wasn't enough representation for them. They wanted a gay, strong, independent woman who was the Mandalorian.
I mean,
running the galaxy. You know, give them a show. Give them, you know, Holdo, the show. We can get her back.
Oh my God.
The events before she
learn how to be a royal cunt in the Resistance.
I mean,
with General Holdo.
I think they have a whole cable channel if they want representation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I watch that show Cloak and Dagger, and I mean, you know, they got some stuff going on there. You can go there. There's a good storyline and some representation there. You know, freeform. They're doing it.
Yeah.
there's a game
over, guy.
It is. When did they end at?
Yeah, it got canceled after the last season. Get with the times.
Because nobody watched it.
I was the only person watching it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Marvel superheroes on the TV. I'll check it out. I was like, oh, this girl's kind of cute. I mean, the black girl was cuter, but that's not the point.
Not the
point. Yeah, that's crazy. I knew it was having trouble when they tied it into Runaways. Like,
I didn't know they tied it to that show.
Yeah, they're in season 3. They helped them out for an episode because the alien jumped bodies. And
I mean, it was vaguely tied to Infinity War and Endgame too.
Yeah,
I mean, very vaguely. It wasn't tied to it the same way that S.H.I.E.L.D. was, saying, hey, Thanos is on Earth right now.
Curtis just gave us a great title for that new show coming out with Holdo. It's going to be called The Negotiations of Young Holdo. There we go. Make it happen, Disney. So, yeah, I mean, you know, just more nonsense. Me personally, I just tackled it from the perspective of is she actually good for the role? I say, meh, I'll wait and see, but the casting doesn't make me go, oh my God, I gotta watch it now.
I mean, I want to know why or who decided that Ashley Eckstein was not the person to do it. Because I assume that whoever this person is going to have to be at least somewhat physically active, right?
Yeah.
Like, how old is Ahsoka supposed to be at this point in the timeline? Like, mid-30s?
Yeah, because it'd be after Rebels, so... and she was grown by Rebels.
Well, I mean, we're like 6 years after Return of the Jedi.
I mean, actually, X-Don's kind of small, and she ain't really an actress. She's like a voice actress, so I guess that's a.
Okay.
I guess that might be the reason why they're not using her. Well, who knows? I mean, maybe they will use her for the voice. We don't know that.
I mean, to me, that would be real strange to get somebody who is a well enough known actor like Rosario Dawson. Like, you can hear that name, and many, I would say millions of people probably know who she is just by name. If you see her picture, you can think of her name without seeing it on screen. So to get her just to do the physical movements, but not the voice, seems strange. Like, you could have got a stunt person that is good at moving their face.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that would be
who
really
is
weird.
the female who's the female version of Andy Serkis?
I wouldn't want to see a female version of Andy Serkis. Boy, that'd be scary.
Well, I mean, in the sense of people love using Andy Serkis for those motion capture roles at expressing his face.
I know, I'm just talking noise.
King Salone brought up a good point. Didn't they did that with Maul and Solo?
Golly, man. Come on now.
Didn't they do that with Maul in Solo? Do what?
I haven't seen Solo.
I guess they used
you're the only one that's seen
someone
Solo,
different than their voice. I mean, I don't know. I was so mystified with how terrible the movie was. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I know it didn't look that great.
What is his question now?
They did the same thing with Maul and Solo.
What
same
do you
as
mean,
what?
Sloan?
Oh, they're saying they used two different actors because they used Ray Park for the physical work, and then I can never remember the other guy's name, but they used some other guy for all of the voice roles. So when they're standing on the ledge and he's talking to Sidious, that is not Ray Park. But when he's dueling with Obi-Wan anytime, that is Ray Park.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, man.
But there's no motion capture in that. That's just a guy wearing makeup. And I don't think there's any point where I don't think there's any scene where he talks when he's doing action. You know what I mean?
No. He's always like standing before he does it, because even when they were fighting at the end of Phantom Menace, he was standing before he started talking.
He don't say nothing. He doesn't say anything for the entire final duel at all. The only time that he's talking is when he's just standing there.
He's a man of action. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's possible, but it'd be really weird, because I imagine that if they drop a big character like Ahsoka into The Mandalorian, she's going to have some kind of major role. I mean, even just bringing it out there. Probably something to the storyline.
Or maybe, just maybe, she'll be in the post-credit scene of season 2. Ahsoka. Season 1 coming soon.
Yeah, wouldn't that be funny if everyone's all jazzed up and then she's just like at the finale, they just show her, and then, oh man, that would be hilarious.
Yeah, you see Ahsoka for the same amount of time that you see the dark saber.
Yep, because well, that would make sense to bringing her in too, because she had she was around for that arc of the dark saber and everything.
No, I'm saying, like, there's going to be some retribution had, I think, because that was one thing that I was thinking about was if that guy has the dark saber, the last person that we know that had the dark saber was Sabine, and Sabine was a friend of Ahsoka. So Ahsoka's gonna go on a revenge mission against, I can't remember the guy's name who has the freaking dark saber now, but she's going after him to get that saber back because it ain't his.
Yeah, Moff Gideon.
Yeah, Moff Gideon. So, I mean, the rumor that I read and saw on the internet was that there's going to be a lightsaber battle in season 2.
Oh, and then we get this
So, are they going to
Ahsoka
train
announcement.
Rosario Dawson how to use a lightsaber?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I seen her do stuff in Zombieland Double Tap, but not enough to make me think she's an action star. I mean, just enough to pass for the role that she was playing. So that's why I'm like, this is going to require a great deal more of physicality. I mean, like, she did some stuff in the Defenders and Luke Cage, but nothing like traumatic. Like, she was training in Iron Fist too. But
man, you don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe Ahsoka just gonna be chilling in a cantina, and then they walk past her, be like, "What's up?" That's it.
I kind of hope it's just a small cameo so you can see the outrage the next day and the internet. That'd be hilarious.
I'll be laughing. I mean, I'll be disappointed, but I'll still be laughing.
Curtis, that's blasphemy. Rebels was not boring, man. Okay, the first season took a little bit of time.
Whoa. Boring. Boring.
Rebels wasn't boring. Rebels was trash.
Oh,
Definitely
man.
was not boring. I can't co-sign it was trash though either.
No,
Ezra was the most aggravating character I have ever seen.
That's true.
Interesting.
I didn't like Ezra, but I did like his master. I always forget his
Kanan.
Kanan. I like Kanan.
Okay.
I thought he was good, and the big dude too. He was all crazy.
Oh, the big gorilla-looking guy.
Yeah, I loved him.
But you know what? God. I doubt Tommy's seen Rebels.
No, it's Disney made.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I know everyone.
I mean, for how annoying or aggravating you say that Ezra is, I believe that he had the coolest lightsaber I'd ever seen in Star Wars. The gun?
Yeah.
Dude, that thing was awesome. It's a lightsaber and a gun. How many Jedi have that?
Man, they made Ezra's like the Roman Reigns of the Star Wars galaxy.
Oh, snap, man. That's rough. Oh, man, that's rough. That's terrible, LB. Oh.
He's gotta win. It doesn't matter if he's supposed to. He's gotta win.
Exactly.
I hate Roman Reigns worse than John Cena. You know, I got to fight with bitchy brother. She goes, "Why do you hate John Cena so much?" I just do. He's just annoying.
No, it's okay to be a part of that 50%. Like, that's an exact 50% split. Anytime that I don't know how we got onto wrestling, but that ain't the point. I mean, you got Cena's great and Cena sucks. Like, that's 50% split. You do not have a 50% split with Roman Reigns. It's Roman Reigns suck, and then you got a dozen people going, he's the greatest ever.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, just wait until your balls drop, kid, and then you'll understand that he's fucking annoying.
Yep.
Oh, man, Kristoff, that's harsh. Said the Clone Wars is amazing. Rebels is just Space Aladdin and Friends. That's a good one. I'll give you that. That is a good. I'm gonna go back through and be thinking about that.
and you know,
they do have a monkey, right?
Yeah, they do.
Man, like straight up. Like, this is how my Roman Reigns comparison fits. Like, WWE did every single thing in the world to try to get him over with fans. You know, they had The Rock co-sign him. They had other people co-sign him. And just think about how Rebels was. They're like, oh, you don't like Rebels? Here's Ahsoka. Oh, that's not good enough.
Oh,
Here's Thrawn. Oh, hold up. Here's Darth Vader. See?
Oh, you skipped one. You skipped Darth Maul.
That too. His
Like,
ranks.
you're not wrong. They did just keep doing that every season. They're like, wait, you didn't quite like that enough? What if we add this character?
Yep.
And the funniest part about that too was that when you ask people who watch the show whether they like or hate it, the best episode was just the battle between Ahsoka and Darth Vader. No one else cared about the rest of that episode. Like, the highlight everyone always clips is that battle, which was pretty epic, by the way. Like, when they're battling on the platform coming apart. I think it was the season final of season 3.
I think I spent every week of this the first 2 seasons saying, "Shut up, Ezra."
Yeah.
I tried, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Oh, Gary North said Roman got The Rock booed out of the building.
The Rock was standing there like, what? He's like, huh? He's like, nah, bro. I ain't helping you out no more.
Right? Like, we're related. You're my cousin. I can get you cheered. And he's like, awesome. Cool. I will take all those cheers from you, Dwayne. Excellent. And got out to the ring, and everybody booed. And The Rock was like, what the fuck are you doing to me, man?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the fucking great one. The icon. The people's champ. A legend. And you're getting me fucking booed?
Yeah.
No, see,
Unreal.
Sloan, I always have this disagreement. Look, I don't care what people like. I've read the Thrawn book, and I know where what people were thinking. But hey, I thought he was decent on that show until the ending. The ending, they just kind of had to do whatever because they were wrapping shit up. But they did show his tactitious mind and the way that he did stuff. And I know in the EU there's a bunch of other stuff, but you know, I mean, I liked Thrawn on Rebels. I didn't think it was a bad representation, considering he hadn't had a representation until he was in Rebels. So
I got a serious problem with reading Star Wars. Star Wars is something that's meant to be seen and heard. Like, it's a lightsaber. Like, imagine that in your head. Imagine if you've never had seen it ever, and Star Wars was only ever a book. How the fuck are you supposed to picture what a lightsaber is?
that's a very good point. There's some things that just
I need
work.
to be watching Star Wars. I can't be sitting here reading about Star Wars. If I'm going to read about Star Wars, it's either the opening crawl or the opening quote or line of the Clone Wars.
Like, my biggest problem with Rebels that I've had no one pick out except for one other person was the space whales. I'm sorry. I gotta go against Filoni on that. The space whales that explained them traveling through hyperspace. That was the stupidest fucking thing I did.
Space whales. I mean, they're squid, but I'll let you slide.
I'm sorry. They look like giant. Oh, God, that was horrible. And just explaining that, I'm like, Filoni, you're reaching, man. That was a terrible. That was the worst, probably the worst thing I've seen as far as, midi-chlorians had been the first thing for me. Like, I called the foul on that. The Force doesn't need to be explained, okay? I don't want to hear
You know why? You know why there's midi-chlorians in Star Wars? Because it's sci-fi.
Oh, that's not. Oh yeah, man. I remember that that whole debate. We need an old
That
Republic
whole green
TV.
room debate, yeah, green room debate that
Ha
I won.
Tommy, you are wrong. The book is based off the screenplay of the first Star Wars movie. The Star
Correct.
Wars movie was in production before that book was even written. Dun, dun, dun. Tommy, you gotta stop listening to these fandom menace people, bruh. You gotta start listening to the real.
Yeah, like the whole vision was for a movie. Like George didn't envision, you know what? I'm gonna write this book
Yeah.
because I know Stephen King, so I'm gonna write a book now.
Yeah, man.
What?
He came up with the idea like in the early 70s for Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
I mean, his. Go ahead.
Yeah, Star Wars. It was conceptualized as a visual medium. So I mean, when you think about the concepts and stuff, like we said, it works better. There's certain things like a book can't do as well as film, just like certain things film can't put all into, its world that a book can do. I think that there's certain stories that just don't serve as well in a novelization form. It's
Oh,
it doesn't work.
So Tommy, here's a direct quote, Mister. I believe nothing I say. The book was written by Foster, Alan Dean Foster, based on Lucas' screenplay for the first Star Wars film. He says how he got the job. My agent got a call from Lucas' lawyer at the time, Tom Pollock. Someone had read a book of mine, Ice Rigger, knew that I had already done novelizations, and thought I might be the writer to do the novelization of Lucas's new film. I accepted the offer to meet with George and did so at ILM. And we hit it off. I got the assignment for 2 books, and that's how it happened. Foster not only adapted the film events, but fleshed out the backstory of time, place, physics, planets, race, languages, history, and technology. There you go.
Oh. So the book was like a compendium piece,
Bruh,
like
the book
these
is
novelizations should be.
exactly. Every Star Wars movie has one.
Yeah, even the prequels.
I mean,
Dude,
I mean, if we're gonna
well,
go,
I was gonna say the new ones are for comedy purposes.
Like the novelization for Episode 3 came out before the movie came out. So does that say that Episode 3 is based off a book? All right, come on, bro. That's what novelizations.
Ooh.
That's what novelizations are for, based on the movie. Of course,
exactly.
That's what novelizations are for. The books don't go word for word off of the movie. They use what they get off the screenplay and then put together a book based on the movie. Like Star Wars wasn't based off of a book.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of these novelizations that come out for movies. There's one I'm pretty convinced on every single movie they have a book, and sometimes the endings do change, or characters in the book and things like that.
Yeah, because they don't have the final screenplay or script of the movie. It says it on the description for this book. Like, once the movie came out or whatever, they came out with another edition of this book to fit the movie. Like, they changed the name and all that stuff.
That's interesting.
Tommy, just stop, bro. Just stop. Like, you're trying to say that Star Wars is based off a book.
Yeah, did you see what Perp said, though? He said, Alien was more groundbreaking. I call bullshit because I don't see a single lightsaber in Alien.
Bruh. You just gotta ignore Perp when it comes to Star Wars, man. Y'all know what he does when we talk about Star Wars, man. Perp is
Yes,
like
he
the Disney
trolls
Star
me.
Wars haters. Yeah, he's like the Disney Star Wars haters, except for he likes these sequel trilogy. So he does the opposite of what the Disney Star Wars haters do.
And he did 5 mic drop.
Hey man,
Oh my
Tommy,
That
I ain't
wasn't a
mad at
mic
you, but
drop moment.
Tommy, I ain't mad at you, bro. But like this stuff is like it's not hard to find, man. A simple Google search will tell you this information. But the fandom menace don't do that. they believe whatever their favorite YouTuber tell them.
No, they Google search. They Google search Star Wars, Fandom Menace, and then whatever
I'm not.
pops up on top, they copy, and then they just say like a couple words differently.
I'm not arguing. I'm just correcting your misinformation.
So this has been an enjoyable, very enjoyable discussion. Talk about the Clone Wars, which was in the beginning. Y'all can go back through and see our synopsis and our breakdown, what we thought of the episode, and then Rosario Dawson, then WWE, and now the EU made it into here. So I think I covered all the bases for tonight.
Yeah, we did.
So we're just going to start wrapping things up and getting ready to go because there's a great discussion coming on Mad Squirrel's channel with the best information that the media won't give you about Corona. She's going to keep it lighthearted, but give you some facts and let y'all know what's going down with that while we're all on lockdown. So let me go down the panel here and you guys can all tell us new stuff coming out and all of that stuff. So, LB, what you got coming? What's new? Who's yelling at you next?
I don't know. Whatever happens in the world, we'll see. But that's about it.
Yeah, man. There's no news. Mr. PD.
My dogs
What
are
do your
making
dogs have
noises.
coming out?
Well, I had the most recent episode of MCU March Madness come out. Go to Pop Culture PB to watch that. Go to my Twitter, the same name, to vote on the most recent poll. And as you can see, I am corona free because I have decided to put on a mask.
Yes, you have the greatest mask ever conceived.
His is red. I had to Packerize it a little bit, so mine is green.
I like it. It's good to see you're corona free. And of course, you guys have been in the fandom zone. Thank you very much. This Monday, I've got a new late night talks coming out, and it's going to be spicy. So everyone should show up because it's going to be an interesting one. I'm not going to give you all a preview or even a hint. You just got to show up and see what I got to say.
Well, why would they show up if you're not going to tell them anything about it?
Tell them what you're going to talk about, man.
No, we're gonna talk about the echo chamber.
We're talking about some bullshit of some people that told Zod about what he can and can't talk about on his YouTube channel, like they're the king of the internet.
Yes, and it will definitely be enlightening. And I do have a favorite Sith, Mr. Sloan. That would be Revan. So, yeah, I think it's going to be great. Squirrel is going live probably about 20 minutes here. So it'll be some fun times over there. Go check out Mad Squirrel's channel. And it's gonna be some fun and infectious conversation. And I got some videos that I'm gonna be dropping here soon. I'm gonna do some more mobile playthroughs and things like that. So swing on by. I'll have a review out for the Kingdom seasons 1 and 2 as well. So, anyways, thank you, everybody, for coming in, and tell your friends we do this every Sunday. Hit a like. If you're new and you've been peeking in and out, subscribe. Just don't, look at my channel, look at this gorgeous face, and then just exit out. Hit that subscribe button. And as always, remember the one and only rule here in the fandom zone: kneel before General Filoni.
No.